This episode is proudly supported by OpenTable.
Nearly 1/3 of diners are booking same day. So they're making those decisions on the spot. And 10% are making their bookings within just a few hours. And so it's why it's so important to have booking software like OpenTable, which allows your diners to discover you. And so when restaurants are on platforms like OpenTable, they're much more likely to be discovered. We help diners to connect to restaurants. Ultimately, having technology, using technology, helps you to reattach to those diners.
Experience the power of OpenTable. For an exclusive offer, visit restaurant.opentable.com.au/DITW.
It's not for everybody, but for us, because we have built really good relationship with our customers. It's not just for the sake of business, but we also listen to them and we understand. And if they know that they can rely on you to grow things for them, it just builds up that relationship.
This is The Producers. I'm Dani Valent. Cecilia CC Diaz-Petersen grows one of Australia's only commercial crops of wild hibiscus, also known as rosella, alongside an eclectic mix of Asian and Mexican vegetables and exotic fruits on her family's 50-acre farm at Woolooga, 3 hours north of Brisbane. Born in the Philippines, CC was a real estate agent when she was swept up by the world of food. She founded CC's Kitchen, met the farmer who became her husband, and moved the land. Obsessed with sustainability, community, and legacy, CC is a grower and maker, and passionate about connecting consumers with the land.
My name is Cecilia Diaz-Petersen, or known as CC. I am from the Petersens farm at Woolooga, which is 45 kilometers northwest of Gympie, south of Sunshine Coast. And we are a rosella farmer, or the Australian hibiscus. And we also grow small crops in our 50-acre beautiful fertile soil. Our farm is 50 acres of undulating land, so it's not just flat. There's contours. There's the trees are obviously surrounding our parameters. So we have dedicated, out of our 50 acres, we got about 10 to 15 acres of trees around us to keep the balance also. And also we have different kinds of soil in our property. We have sandy loam, we have volcanic red, we have black soil, we've got scrubby soil, and we also have some, how would I say it, just really rocky area that we have. So the farm originally, apparently maybe about 150 years ago, used to be a dairy farm. Our area of Woolooga used to be known for dairies, but there's not a single dairy here now. It's mostly cattle country, so a lot of people just grow cattle, and we are the only small crop farmer in Woolooga. We grow, at the moment, our main crop is rosella. We have about 1,500 bushes. That takes about 4 acres of our land. We also grow Asian vegetables like snake beans, okra, bitter melon, loofah. We grow chilies. We grow tomatillos. We also grow a little bit of sunflowers. And then we also have an orchard of exotic fruits like jackfruit, kumquat, lemon, mandarin, carambola, figs, red pawpaw. What else have we got? Toffee limes, some pomegranate, and also nectarines. And then for winter, we have also already planted our snow peas, shelling peas, our sugar snaps, English beans, butter beans, and green beans, a lot of tomatoes, and also a lot of different Mexican produce like tomatillos, poblano, and jalapenos. So all year round, we've got crops in our farm, and we also very conscious of resting our land, so we don't cultivate the whole 30 acres that's left. We actually rotate our land and we rest and put cover crop because we believe we've got to leave this land better than what we actually found it. So for us, if we've got a healthy soil, most probably we will probably have very healthy plants. That means we would be having less problems like pests to deal with day in, day out. So it's not about just growing things, it's about growing what we can, the best we can, but also less use of chemicals as well.
CC started her business almost by accident. She was such a good backyard gardener that she had to think of something to do with her glut of tomatoes. Her chutney business began as a hobby, but it soon turned into a proper enterprise.
Mainly is that 12 years ago I have started my business, CC's Kitchen, which is making jams and pickles and chutneys and all that, just to get out of my job as a real estate agent. I was having a small garden at the back of my parents' property, and of course I grew tomatoes, and when they started bearing so much fruit, I was just giving them to all my friends and neighbors, and then they just couldn't handle it. So I thought, oh well, I better make some relish then, which I don't know how. So I just Googled it and made some relishes, and I start giving things away, and then everyone's cupboard is over full, and I'm thinking, what now? So I was not trained to make any jams or pickles, so I've just pretty much just picked up the hobby because I do love cooking. I am from a Filipino background, and cooking is part of what we do. And so then I started making these relishes, and eventually my friend said, well, this is good enough for you to sell. What are you doing? So what are you doing what you do? So back about 2 years before, my boss, when I was in real estate, said to me that you are in the wrong job. You should be a cook. What are you doing here selling houses, So one day I just decided that maybe there is more things to life than just doing a job instead of doing something that you love. And I drove past the Office of Fair Trading. I walked in there and I just registered CC's Kitchen, and then I started doing a bit of research by going to little markets and see what people think of my products. So when I was getting a fair bit of response, I just made more products. I went to more markets, and people start asking me about gooseberry jam. They said it's the best jam ever, and I don't know what it was. So I just started asking people like other stall holders if they ever know of anybody growing gooseberries. And one day I come across my future husband, which is a farmer. So he was growing gooseberries, and I started buying more produce from him. And one day he was asking me, what about rosellas? And I said, oh, what's about rosellas? And he goes, oh, would you like to buy some rosellas and make some jam? And I said, what would you do that to a bird? Because I came from Sydney, I thought rosella was actually a bird. And he said, no, it's actually a fruit, and you make jam out of it. And I said, well, you better just give me 10 kilos and see what I can do. And 2 weeks later, he delivered them to me, and I asked him, so what do I do now? So he actually taught me how to prep the rosella, how to make the jam, just like what his late Nana Petersen used to make many, many years ago. So a year later, we got married, and I moved to the farm and made more rosella jam, and then I just couldn't keep up, and they're not growing enough for me. So I said to them, well, there's no point you growing rosellas, and I don't have enough. After 2 months, it's all finished. I said, you better grow some more so I can put things away. And 10 years later, we produce about 6 tons of rosella fruit that we supply to all other jam makers and food processors, and I have about created 35 products out of rosellas alone. So rosella jam is pretty much the quintessential Queensland jam. I could probably say that, and a lot of people remember the time that they had when they were kids, spending time with their mom or their grandmothers, and every jar that we sell or every kilo of fruit that we sell to the customers, they just bring back memories for them, and it keeps us connected with the people. So I think for us, that's just a wonderful way of farming, because you just keep that engagement and you make people happy.
Queenslanders tend to know what rosella is, but what about the rest of us? CC gives us the 101 on wild hibiscus.
Rosella is pretty much considered as an Australian native food. It originated originally from Jamaica, so the people that came to our country must have bought the seeds to their food, must have thrown it out in the bush, and it obviously loved the weather of being in the bush, rough as you can get, and they just grew wild and mainly used for tea. Normally, if you've ever heard about hibiscus tea, it is also called hibiscus up the river, which is the scientific name of the Australian rosellas. The color of it is crimson red. Absolutely beautiful. There's nothing like it. It's almost a shape of an inverted strawberries, but it's got prong towards the end. It's got almost like a crown, but at the bottom. Very tart in flavor. Very rich in vitamin C, 10 times more than an orange. Very rich on essential minerals like riboflavin, antioxidant, and also essential minerals to actually keep you hydrated. It is used by the indigenous women for drinking to relieve women's problems like period pains. So it's got such an association way back from our indigenous women. Mainly used as jam in Queensland. Everyone loves the jam. How would I say? But I found it to be versatile. So now I make hibiscus tea. I make chutneys out of it. I make cordial or soft drinks we have, and chili sauces, syrup, all sorts of stuff. So 35 products out of rosella alone. So that has become our niche crop. We grow it. We normally grow it and plant it from about September, and we start picking early January, and we normally pick for about 6 months during the dry to autumn weather.
Rosella is the mainstay, but there are lots of other crops grown in this fertile soil. CC talks us through the diverse range and supply chain and the relationships that underpin their business.
We've got actually a few particular crops that we grow. We grow gem squash from about mid-October to mid-December, and we grow them for our South African. He would say that he was probably a wholesaler, and he buys whatever we pick a week, and that all goes to Sydney. So that's a gem squash is more like a texture of zucchini, but it's round, and it's pretty much the staple food for the South Africans. So that's what we grow it for them. We also grow what they call red boro beans. It's like a purple long beans, and you only eat the seeds inside, where the Fijian Indians will make dal out of it, or they make curries. And again, we grow that around November up until about May, and that goes to our Fijian customers. Very tasty, especially for vegan people. It's very high in protein, and that's why they love it. So they just actually peel them off and they freeze them. So that means they will have supply until the next season starts. Mexican produce, we grew it because we had a chef friend that have a restaurant in Sydney, Mexican vegan restaurant, and she asked us to grow tomatillos for her, and poblano and jalapenos. And she then decided that she was going to tell her other friends, and they've been buying from us. And then we also sell that to a shop in Sydney that has a customer base, Mexican customers in Sydney. So all our vegetables or fruit normally goes direct mainly to the customers. We've considered ourselves very fortunate in that way because it's not for everybody, but for us, because we have built really good relationship with our customers. It's not just for the sake of business, but we also listen to them and we understand. And also, and if they know that they can rely on you to grow things for them, it just builds up that relationship. And it's not just farming. That means you're also satisfying a need for a customer, and for us as farmers, we get better value for our produce because we don't have to worry about a middleman. With the produce that we grow, we actually have a little roadside stall in our farm. So we've got people that drive in, just like what I'm talking to you now. There's cars stopping by. They pick up fresh produce that we have in our shop. It's an honesty box, so that means they just put the money in the box. And that would probably our main point of selling our produce. But we also go to farmers market twice a week, and we also supply directly chefs from Brisbane, shops in Sydney, and also local chefs here in Gympie and Hervey Bay. And plus, we got direct customers that come to the farm and buy bulk from us. Like we've got particular customers that we grow particular crops, and they every vegetable or every produce that we pick each week, they will just buy all that, and they normally share it with their community. So we have direct customers like that way. And some of it, whatever extra we have, we send a few to the Brisbane market, so other chefs will have a better access. If they are in Brisbane, it's easy for them to go and grab our produce that way direct from our agent.
Cece had a feeling she'd end up closer to nature, but she couldn't possibly have predicted the path she's travelled. She is grateful for what she's gained, but she can also see the benefits her outsider perspective brings to farm life.
Way back in the Philippines, I used to hang out a lot with my grandfather and my grandmother because they used to have a farm, but nothing like what my family has now, the Petersens. So I suppose I would probably say I'm considered as a city girl, and but I've always been very attracted to the lifestyle of as a farmer. You know, wide open space and freedom that you can almost see the stars at nighttime, and I've always had an inkling to go back to that. I didn't know when, but somehow out in the universe, I just ended up marrying a farmer because I changed my job, I guess. I moved to the farm, and I probably saw things that they don't normally see. You know, if they are farming, they just seem to be doing the same thing all the time. And me being an outsider, I kind of saw some opportunities and some things that probably needed to be put forward as a suggestion because, there's a lot of waste. There's a lot of time being wasted. And also, you got to also deal with the nature, dry, drought, storms, hailstorm, market prices, loss of customers. And at the end of the day, you still have to earn a living. So I just saw that from the back, saying, well, why do we just keep farming for the sake of farming? But we gotta also have to make a living. So then I started to look at promoting the farm, putting a face to the farm, because they don't really promote themselves. There's no point growing the product when you don't really tell people. There was no way of conveying the message if it's not good enough to be on the farmer's market. You got to have a social media. So I suppose we started engaging the people and telling them about what we do, especially through Cece's Kitchen, because, it's pretty much from paddock to pot to the customers, and we can all do that from the farm because all our product is made in a small purpose commercial kitchen that I have in the beginning, and I could say to the people, well, this came from us, this is how it grows, this is what I do, and then this is the product now in front of you. So I think it gives us a story to tell, and people love the fact that they know where their food comes from. And for us, we found that as a way of educating, the young and old, and also to keep people excited or maybe informed about what small local farmers do. We don't compete with the big boys because one, they're far too big, but we do our way of farming sustainably, responsible, we're accountable, and also we love talking to the people. So we now grow crops for demand. So we just don't grow things of just hoping it will sell, but we pretty much grow when we know we've got a customer waiting on the other hand. So it makes it more, for me, not being a farmer, I fell in love with it, but it also gave me a purpose that maybe this is the way I can contribute as a farmer, because I then brought in the outside knowledge and I can help our business grow big and maybe look at opportunities that we've never thought before. So that is probably what really excites me.
Growing the product is one thing, selling it is another, but engaging community is best of all. CC talks about the big Rosella field days that she runs to get people into the fresh air and onto a working farm to understand where their food comes from.
The Big Rosella Festival is on its 8th year. We actually grew it organically from 2016. It's a 2-day event on a weekend where we open up our farm to the public. We have farm tours. We have chefs that come in and do cooking demonstration using our produce. We have forums about farming where people can ask other farmers, because we invite some of our farmer friends to also talk about their farms and also sell some of their value-adding products. We also invite some of our local craft ladies to sell their wares in our farm. When we have an open day, we have CWA ladies here that I'm part of, that they make the scones for us for the day, and also they also have a stall. We also have a produce stall. We have some market stalls. We've got food using most of our local produce, so that means it's pretty much homemade food, and we just have people here just like to hang out with us and see what we're doing. And we've also got some local entertainers. For example, the over 70 ladies that sing and dance, local musicians, and also we include our local school as well. So we have them have a stall here and help them have raffles so they can raise some money for the local school as well. So it's pretty much a community where we open up our farm, so hopefully that will transcend to local tourism into our little town of Woolooga.
It's hard to imagine more contrast between the high heels and perfect hair of a real estate agent and the homely life of a farmer and cook. CC explains her role and the joys and challenges of working with her husband, Greg.
Oh, massive difference. I don't have to wear a black suit in the heat and door knock, put it that way. No makeup, no high heels to run. My life now is so simple. I work in the kitchen and I just have nice comfortable clothes and I just have my cooking shoes and so much freedom, because I get to work with some of our local. We have employees here at the farm and they're just local people and we treat them like family. So we're all equal here, getting the job done, and we work as a team, and we feel that our workers are our family. I get to work with my husband, I guess, not directly because he looks after the farm and I look after the kitchen, plus all the marketing and all the administration and social media. But we pretty much complement each other because we have our own talent and gift that we can actually share each other. So it's not easy at times because you're always together, but we understand what we've got to do and we have the common goals, and that means whatever I do, whatever he does, it all contributes to what we want to achieve at the end of the day. And we can finish off whenever we want. Sometimes we work too hard, but if we've got to go somewhere, we just schedule our own times and freedom. And again, we meet a lot of people, and such as having a chance to talk to you. I would have never imagined I would be doing this.
Farm life never stands still. CC shares her hopes and plans for the future.
For the future is we just had our brand new kitchen built in June last year out of all the big floods that we had to encounter last year. So I am in my new premises here doing all my condiments, but we are also building a nursery to grow edible crops in pots. So that means people can come to the farm and buy the actual seedlings that will grow in our area, and they will get some knowledge directly from the farmers, so they can have a chat with my husband and my father-in-law, which is 84 years old, with a ton of knowledge. And also we get to open up perhaps one day a little cafe here at the farm where people can come for perhaps breakfast, and then they can wander through the farm, maybe for a farm tour, and maybe go through the nursery. We could have busloads of people here, perhaps from doing day trips, and maybe families, or maybe the schools. So we want to work more from home. So we want to leave a legacy of educating people. So hopefully that is what will be transpiring perhaps in the next 12 months, and that's what would really keep us excited. And I think, doing what we love and yet you will be able to share it is absolutely blissful for us.
There are so many aspects to CC's work: farming, creating, cooking, selling and promoting. But what does she love most about what she does?
I love cooking. I love creating recipe. It keeps me motivated. I love dealing with new customers, especially when they hear about us through the media, or they Google about rosellas, and Petersen's Farm or CC's Kitchen will come up and they will make contact with us. I get the opportunity to be able to ask what they need, or maybe they can ask us some information of when is how does the actual rosella grow, when does it pick, what produce can we what produce can we supply to them, in what form, and the fact that we could be part of what they do. Some of these people, they don't have a product yet, but they are willing enough to have the conversation and perhaps use our produce and make a product for themselves. And I think the collaboration is really really important for us, because we know that our business will have a future where it's not about taking a market share out of someone. It's us paving a new path for other people to benefit as well. And I think that's what I love, because we, as a business, our little farm here, we get to become part of a bigger picture with other people. So at the moment, we've got a few projects or people that we are talking to. Hopefully something eventuate from them, and that means we may grow more rosellas, perhaps because the demand is there.
CC Diaz-Petersen combines the nostalgia of rosella, a classic Queensland ingredient, with the forward-looking energy of an immigrant entrepreneur. CC's Kitchen is a dynamic business, paving new paths every year and nurturing other enterprises in her orbit. It's strategic and savvy, but built on passion and a deep respect for nature and the joy of sharing food. This is The Producers, a Deep in the Weeds production. I'm Dani Valent. Stay tuned as we talk to some of Australia's best farmers, makers and growers. Follow us on Instagram at Producers Podcast, or contact us via deepintheweeds.com.au.